Welcome to the Rise Above Show, presented by RoofCON. My name is Dante, and I'm thrilled to bring you inspiring conversations with some of the most innovative and bright minds in our industry. From business and entrepreneurship to personal development and growth, we'll explore the strategies, insights, and stories that have helped our guests rise above challenges, overcome adversity, and achieve their goals. So sit back, relax, and join us on this journey of empowerment, inspiration, and discovery. This is the Rise Above Show.
All right, welcome to the Rise Above Show presented by RoofCON. My name is Dante. I'm here with my friend Bruce Leffler. How you doing, my friend?
What's up, D? I'm good, buddy. How are you?
Good. So we've met once in person now. I believe it was at IRE here just a few months ago.
Yep.
And we were all busy, and obviously, you were busy going around and talking to people, so we didn't really get a chance to chat much. So I'm excited to get to do this and get to talk a little bit about all the stuff we got planned for today. But
yeah, man.
But tell me a little bit about let's just get ground floor set up. So if you had to describe Bruce and where you're at right now in 30 seconds or less, just to give us a quick overview. Tell us a little bit about you, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, professionally speaking, founder of Best Roofing Marketing and co-founder of the Best Hustler Academy with Deshaun. And personally speaking, proud father, husband. I have 4 kids, ages 22 down to 7. Very actively involved in martial arts and baseball, and a man of faith, man, and just here trying to do the best that I can do.
That's quite the age gap with kids too. You got between 22 and 7.
It is, yeah. It's a funny story. So my wife, she always jokes she's 3 months older than me, but she looks about 10 years younger than I do. And so my 2 oldest are my stepkids that are 22 and 20. She had at a very early age, and then I have an 11-year-old daughter with her and a 7-year-old son.
Right on.
Yeah, man.
Well, that's cool, man. Where are you coming out of?
Atlanta, about 30 minutes north of the city, in between the mountains. So right here in Atlanta, Georgia.
Cool. So you're not too far from us.
No, I grew up in Tampa. A lot of people don't know that, but I actually spent the bulk of my life. I was down in Tampa for 33 years. So I've lived all over Hillsborough, Sarasota, Polk County. So right in your backyard.
Well, we're in Greenville, South Carolina. So
RoofCON.
RoofCON is in Orlando, and it's so funny because I think a lot of people think that we're based out of Orlando because we do the event there, but we're based out of Greenville. Right. So
yeah, that's
but
awesome.
Greenville's super close. I mean, we're only 2.5 hours away. So depending on who's driving. So
right, that's right.
So if Hunter's driving, we're there in an hour. So
yeah. Pedal to the metal.
That man is the most terrifying. If you ever get an opportunity to be in a car with Hunter, just don't take that opportunity.
Yeah.
If you value your life. So
yeah, it's funny.
But hey, man, let's get into. I want to chat with you because it was one of the cool things that when we started talking, I realized you and I had some similar background story coming up in the corporate world, and I thought that was super cool. I was like, man, let's touch on this because, I think. For people that, even if you've never worked a corporate job, I think that there's a lot of things to learn from, your history of going from corporate job into what you're doing now. So tell me a little bit about, how'd you get into the corporate world to begin with?
Yeah, man, great question. So just kind of going back, right? Got out of high school, played football in high school, joined the Army, was hurt, came home and landed a corporate gig through a friend at Capital One. Kind of floundered around in my younger age, always motivated by money. I know a lot of people aren't. I didn't grow up with a whole lot of it. So really wanted to kind of go after it and just always bounce for the next title or next salary. And I'll never forget, I was having I don't smoke anymore, but I was having a cigarette break with a girl back in my younger days. She said her mom was in advertising and she drove a Beamer and she had this big house in Palm Beach. And that resonated with me as a young naive kid who was really chasing the dollar. So got into the corporate world in 2006 at AT&T and Bell South as they merged. It was AT&T Advertising and Publishing, and had a very big corporate run since then, man. I've worked at all of the major agencies and multiple either sales or sales leadership or executive levels. AT&T, Reach Local, AOL, and most notably Web.com.
What was that first job like? That first corporate job before you started climbing the ladder? What was that like?
It's funny, man, because I was green, and I'll never forget. We're still buddies today. He's in my fantasy football league. Kevin Lang. He was the RVP of the Tampa market for Bell South AT&T, and I got, by way of referral, I got the interview. And I think at the time I was at University of Phoenix making like 45 grand or something, just kind of floundering. I was living on my buddy's couch, right? With him and his wife and renting a room. And, he leaned me in. He's like, so we go through the interview and he's like, so the on target earning is like 84,000 or something, right? With a very nominal base, like 24K. And I leaned forward. I remember I leaned forward, Diego, and I said, I'm your guy. And I was just so fired up because that was like earth-shattering money to me. Needless to say, my first year I went out and made significantly more than that. But it kind of just set the trajectory that I was highly motivated and I was going to figure it out. So I was out there saying all the wrong things, doing all the wrong things, high activity, all the stuff that new sales directors with us kind of go through, right? And all the stuff that new sales professionals and roofing companies all over America go through. It's get out there and figure it out, the school of hard knocks. So that was the very first gig. And by way of effort and not skill, I did okay. But it took a little bit to kind of reverse engineer that.
So take us from there then to, let's say, the last position. I can't even say the last job you had at a corporate job. What was that like?
Yeah, so I had the privilege to build the top sales team in the country for 5 years in a row at Web.com. They were a $2.2 billion marketing agency when they were bought out by a PE firm. And I started as a seller, quickly went to sales leader, sales manager in that Tampa market, built that team. When I left, I was the national sales director. So I was working with a lot of our major corporate accounts like the PGA Golf Association, IMG Sports Academy, like the bigs of the bigs, spending multi-million-dollar contracts. And, I was 36. I came home. I'll never forget. It was about a year into our dream home. I had just built my wife her dream home in Apollo Beach, Florida. And I was at it. I was stressed out, high anxiety, making $250,000 and afraid that you're going to get put on an Excel spreadsheet one day and just be eliminated. And I told my wife, I said, listen, I love you, but if we're going to stay married, I'm quitting my job and we're going to Atlanta. And she kind of laughed and looked at me like I had three heads for about 48 hours. And by the grace of God, she fully supported me. She's like, let's do it. If there's anything you can do, I remember this quote. She said, Bruce, if there's anything you can do amidst all your flaws, you can sell digital marketing and your clients love you because you get real results. So she got on board, and that's kind of when we made that transition and started Best Proof of Marketing.
You talk about that, about landing on a spreadsheet and being eliminated. That's what happened to me.
Yeah.
So I was working at a big broadband company, and company got bought out. I'd been there for 7 years.
Yeah.
I helped them grow a ton, and the new owners came in and basically said, "Hey, we've got our own marketing team," and I was running marketing for some of the local markets, and basically they just came in and they were like, "Hey, today's your last day." So so that happens a ton, every single day in corporate America.
It's deflating, man, because you pour so much into a company and you're just a number, right? So the only way to eliminate that was to take that advantage away from corporations and do it myself. I felt like we had some better angles that we could do things differently, but I didn't get into running my own agency for the money, believe it or not. I was already making money. Like, I wasn't sweating that. I got into it for the peace of mind and to lower my anxiety that, hey, not only could I help myself and my family, I could put some really good people back to work, people that I had relationships with that were great at their craft, that kind of wanted to have somebody they trusted at the helm and not just bounce to another, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year job from some corporation where you're just in the rat race.
Was there a big turning point there where you started thinking about that? Was there anything that made that shift, that made you start thinking about, wanting to leave and wanting to go to work on your own?
Yeah, it was a very acute, actually, event, believe it or not. So the company came in, talking about Web.com, the company came in and was bought by a PE firm, right? So $2.2 billion, we own you now. And day one, I'll never forget this, day one, I started getting all these texts about, we got a meeting at 5 o'clock today. And I wasn't a part of the meeting, So the company came in and laid off everybody in our outside sales division, 173 people. So my employees, my peers, my regional directors, my bosses, they kept 2 people, myself and the SVP. And it was the most gut-wrenching, like, guilt I have ever felt in my life. That's kind of what opened up anxiety in my life, right? So I immediately had issues where I just had survivor's guilt. And I was like, the only thing I can do, I was selling a few $1 million a year for the company. And I was like, the only thing I can do is give my middle finger and go do it myself, right? This is not cool. And keeping me like it's some great reward, like, oh, you're good. I'm like, I didn't want to be here anymore. At this point, the culture, all of my relationships, why I was there, what we had built was gone. And therefore, that immediate acute event started my exit strategy on how was I going to make this transition to Atlanta and leaving the corporate, benefits and salary behind.
What did you have in Atlanta? Why Atlanta out of all places?
It's funny, man. I think part of it was more personal than professional. I had a childhood friend that moved up here that I grew up with in Tampa. He moved up here. Just love the area. There's something to be said about people in the South. It's really just nicer. You get the 4 seasons, but it's not frigid temperatures, right? So after being in hot, flat, congested, traffic jammed Florida for 33 years, I was just kind of over it on the personal front. And then on the professional front, again, I didn't grow up with money, man. So I grew up in a single wide mobile home, and I had a high school diploma. And I was, again, I was making about as much as I was going to ever make without a college degree in my current market. But I just, through research, through connections, I felt like the earning potential was higher in Atlanta when I was still figuring out what I was going to do, and the cost of living was lower. And it was just a really good fit. I knew some people up here. So it was a soft transition for us. But, and looking back, my wife, I got her on board. It took a little bit. As soon as we got here, though, we went to church, we got plugged into the community. She just loves it. I don't think anything could take us back to Florida to live there. It's great to visit, but we're just big fans, man, of the Atlanta market.
You moved north to get to the South. That's what,
yeah,
because Florida's not the South. Let's just let's just be honest.
Yeah,
Florida's an extension of the North.
it's so transient and transactional. When I moved here at first, I told my wife, I was like, I must be the biggest a-hole. Like, I just want to buy my milk and bread, and people want to talk to you for 10 minutes. And now that's grown on me, right? It's like the small town living, everybody. And I absolutely love it, but it's a foreign way of living, just crossing state lines. It really is different, man. So
yeah, and I love Florida, but it 100% is. Doesn't feel like the South.
That's right.
Okay, so let's you start your new company. Tell us a little bit about it's a company that you're running right now, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's quick overview. What are you guys doing at the new company, and then I want to dig into some of those first initial struggles.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So the 30,000-foot view, Best Roofer Marketing, is a full-service digital and video production marketing agency out of Atlanta. So we have a studio. We have a number of large corporate clients. Atlas is a strategic partner. We do a lot of work for Home Depot, Hitachi on the video front, right? But essentially, we're a mission-driven agency, man. Unlike a lot of the other ones, and there's some good ones out there, we want to only partner with 100 roofing companies at a time and commit to helping them sell 10 million. So we really have a detailed multi-appointment vetting process. And when we do find the right partner, we're really locking arms with them for years. So we're not talking about, hey, sign my short-term contract and hope you stick. We're talking about, what is this relationship going to look like in the next 3, 5, and 10 years down the road? And then a spinoff of that, because we do turn down about 80-85% of the inbound opportunities we get for a myriad of reasons, right? Not a good fit, budget, whatever. We were turning down so much, I said, there's got to be something out here to help these smaller startup companies, as well as companies with large sales teams, which is my true passion, sales coaching and building sales cultures, right? So through myself and outreach of Deshaun Bryant, we developed a good partnership and friendship where we created the Best Hustler Academy, kind of a mashup of names there, but that's an online video for all things sales and marketing course with new content being put up weekly. And then we also do live monthly training calls. So that's the 30,000-foot view of kind of what we are as a company and how we operate and what we do.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Deshaun's a friend of the show too. I've had him on, and he's been at RoofCon since 2020. It was the first year the last 3 years we've had him at our show.
It's small world. You know, he lives in Brandon, Florida, a suburb of Tampa, the town I grew up in and went to school in. And you know, you live next door to somebody for 30 years, and it's just a small world. You got to move away to grow together. And now he's up here with us doing stuff at the office all the time, or we see him down there. So yeah, great guy.
Yeah. So okay, let's talk about, you know, now starting your own company.
Yeah.
One of the big things that I know from when you start off this new thing, right? We started RoofCon. To give some background to anyone that doesn't know, I joined Hunter here. Hunter through RoofCon year 1 in Nashville. There's about 50 people that attended. It was a small kind of workshop style event. Yep. And then he met me. I came in through a job interview here right after I got laid off at my job 2 months after that first RoofCon. Okay. And we started talking, and he was like, well, you're not really a salesperson. I was like, no, I'm not. Like, I'm a marketing guy, but I'm trying to, you know, it's just trying to fill in, you know, what I was going to do next in my life. And he's like, well, you just threw this event, and I think we could make something really cool out of it. And so he hired me as the first kind of employee at the time to be able to put on RoofCon. And so we had nothing, right? We didn't have a community. We didn't have a network. We didn't have all that stuff. And I feel like building a network for us was one of the huge, I don't want to say stumbling blocks, but it was one of the big projects that it took for us to be able to get to the point that we're at now, was building that network. So what were some of the things for you that you had to build in the beginning for you to be able to launch your company?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, man. So it was a grind, like anybody, right? So, you know, I knew how to build a book of business. And step one took a lot of long days, because I think, you know, I could say this now, I'm outside all my non-competes, but I kind of double dipped for maybe 6 months to a year, still ethically. But like, if there were companies that were not qualified to do what I did in my corporate world, I was selling them under my generalist brand parent company, Loom Sales, which is where I started, just kind of selling everybody, getting the results, getting the early case studies, asking anybody that we did anything good for, hey, can you leave us a video to help us sell the next guy, kind of thing, right? And then just stockpiling that cash. I didn't need it. So what I was trying to do was build up a 4 to 6 month reserve of kind of like my bottom of the barrel minimum income I needed to not take away my kids' and wife's quality of lifestyle before I made the jump. So I grinded for, I don't know, it wasn't quite a year, maybe 9-10 months, built that up, had the reserves in the bank, hadn't spent a dime other than operational cost. And I was just like, you know, I prayed about it, and I said, now's the time to do it. And, you know, it's the same story you hear in roofing so much, right? You do. If somebody's really talented, roofing company owners tell us all the time, they're afraid to hire somebody that's so good, because eventually one day they're going to wake up and say, I can go do this for myself. And that's a scary concern to have if you don't have the right culture, right? If you don't have the right culture for that person to want to stay, the right respect of that employee. So I didn't really have that at that point. It was transactional. I was getting sales results. They were paying me money, and I didn't really want to be there. So I started to live, eat, sleep, breathe, everything, best roofer marketing. How was I going to do this? And more importantly, not just do it to solve a short-term problem, which was my unhappiness in the corporate world. How was I going to do it to build a sustainable company that could live a legacy beyond me, whether that's selling it one day and taking time to spend with my kids, whether that's bringing my kids up in the business. But I wanted to build a business the right, healthy way and make sure that our reputation was at the forefront of everything, that, you know, we did what we said we were going to do. Like the roofing industry, this industry is littered with a lot of people that are scam artists, right? And you got to cut through that noise and really identify who the reputable people are and make sure that you stay out there as one of those reputable agencies.
RoofCon's amazing. Getting to see all the speakers like Nick and Eric and especially Tim Tebow. Very exciting and eye-opening.
Amazing speakers and great knowledge. Keep it up.
First RoofCon, been following Hunter and the Revolt Clan for quite some time, and it's definitely been a lot more than what we expected.
This event is getting better and better.
So if you're gonna go to one roofing conference, make sure that it's RoofCON.
RoofCON 2023 returns to Orlando, Florida, November 9th through the 11th. Get your tickets at roofcon.com.
I had another marketing agency owner on the show, and he said the only person that's trusted less than a contractor in a homeowner's eyes is a marketing agency in a contractor's eyes.
It's true, man. You know, I forbid I have two sales directors. One, she's down in Sarasota, and I got another one up here with me in Atlanta. And it's my training from the corporate world. I forbid them to say the word guarantee. You know, we all get hit with the algorithm. So you see roofing stuff all the time, even though you're not a roofer. I see it too. And there's 30 leads in 30 days of your money back, guarantee this. It's hogwash. Like, dude, Google and Meta are way the F bigger than us, any of the agencies out here. So for us to say we can guarantee something is no more than a broker on behalf of that company when they really have the keys to the kingdom, it's foolish. And I hope contractors listening understand that anybody guaranteeing you anything, for us, that's a red flag to turn and run the other way, because there are no guarantees in marketing and there's no guarantees in sales, man. There's just not.
So you talked a little bit about, you discussed how one of the fears that people have when they start a company is that you're going to bring in these people, you're going to train them up, and then they leave, right?
Yep.
So I guess two questions there. One, how do you stop that from happening? And B, if that happens, is that really a bad thing?
It's a great question. So let me tackle number one first, and then we'll tackle number two, because I think they come from different perspectives. So how do you stop that from happening? First, I think it comes down to qualifying, just like you should qualify a lead, right? Qualifying the person up front, really understanding who you're getting, and not just rush to put a butt in a seat, or in this case, to put Tommy on the street knocking doors, right? So that whole process is fragmented and rushed up front. It's like, hey, you're a body and you're willing to work for me for commission only, so there's no liability. Great, you're hired. And you just throw a bunch of people out there and see what sticks, right? That's the spaghetti model. It doesn't work. Secondly to that, you got to build an award-winning culture, man. This is what I'm training on, you know, at roofing supply companies and at events all over the country right now. Deshaun and I are going out, and my thing is how to build an award-winning culture. You got to understand salespeople and sales psychology, right? And the funny thing is, most contractors that own companies are not business professionals. They're contractors. So they don't think about these things, right? They don't realize and do the data research. 90% of your team isn't highly motivated by money. I was the rare breed that was, but if I can kind of go off on a soapbox for a second and give you a short story, I think this will really resonate. My best sales mentor ever, the guy that really catapulted me and propped me up for success in the corporate world, he created a culture that I've taken so many things from, and I use them in my trainings today. He would do these off-site excursions once a month, right? And an excursion is, and I coach this for roofing companies to do it too, you pick something that's not money related, right? You give a team, hey, if I got a $5,000 budget to reward my team, we're going to go out and go to Busch Gardens, or we're going to go do a charter fishing trip, or we're going to go to the park and have gift cards or whatever, right? You guys pick, it's your team, it's your culture, it's your event, I'm going to fund it. And then you take your sales goal and you stretch it by 20%, and that's the carrot for the stretch goal, right? What I found in that is we were at an excursion, and I was fighting him like, dude, I make $1,000 a day. I'm not going to just go to your little party because you're costing me money, because I'm so good I can go out. If I leave my house, I'm going to make money. And I was that automatic in my prime, right? Like an athlete in sales, you have ups and downs, right? But I was at my peak when I said this. And he said, if you're going to be on this team and stay employed here, you're going to come to Busch Gardens. And what he was forcing is he was forcing me to be a part of that culture. And he was teaching me that, hey, I don't care if you're the head honcho on the sales sheet. I don't care if you're atop the leaderboard. You're an equal to your peers. You're going to be here and you're going to learn. And what I learned is it forced interaction with the team. It forced us to look out for each other like the brothers and sisters. So that way the best people on the team are now lifting up the worst people on the team, and he's just staying up above, and all problems don't point back to him as the leader. The team holds each other accountable because people want to go to Busch Gardens. People want to have a day off. People want to have all of these things that are not money motivated, right? So if you think about that as it equates to roofing, the roofing industry is Well, how do you stop somebody from leaving the company if they're good? You don't, unless you build an award-winning culture and you make sure you qualify who you're getting in the beginning, because some people are just complacent being a sales pro, making 150, 250 grand a year selling roofs and driving a company truck and getting taken care of, and that's all they ever want to be. That's a great fit. But if you got a guy in an interview that says, hey, I want your job, yeah, I don't know, right? So now flipping gears on that, the second question was, is it a bad thing? I think it's a bad thing when it's unexpected, because it can kill momentum in your team and it can kill the culture, because the person everybody looks up to in many cases is stepping out. And when you're stepping out, you're not stepping out alone. People respect people. They don't respect your company brand. So you might own this great roofing company, but your sales director is the one that everybody loves. So if he leaves, you have a much bigger problem than losing your sales director, my friend. You're going to lose your staff, right? So if it is expected, though, and somebody's transparent and says, hey, look, I think I've eclipsed, right, what I can do for you and what I can offer. I want to give you a professional notice. I want to go out on my own. And you've gotten them to the point where there's nothing else, and you do it in a respectful, transitional way, then I think it's a great thing, because I think true sales leaders always want what's best for their people. They just don't want to get blindsided.
Let me ask you about, obviously, like, I can tell that you're super passionate about, culture and impact and leadership. And so, one of the big things that's one of the things that we're super passionate about, right? I always say to people, like, RoofCON isn't really a roofing conference. It's really a leadership conference for the roofing industry.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on, how do you now create an impact on the people around you, or the people on your team? What are some of the ways that you teach people to leave an impact, or to impact other people through leadership?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think first and foremost, I try to convey my principles at every turn to my team, and we lead with, let's just do what's right. Like, that's it. We have contracts, but if somebody really doesn't want to be with us and it's not a good fit and it's not going to turn into a good fit, like, I'm going to supersede the contract to do what's right. And I want them to understand that, but I also have brought on my sales directors strategically, where I'm not leaning on them. I'm not dependent on them to make our payroll. I'm not dependent on them. Our company is very healthy and successful. So if we don't have a new customer for the next several months, that's just fine, because we're not losing customers either, right? I want them to do things the right way and from a position of non-pressure. In a sales world, oftentimes you're cracking the whip and demanding that people do all these amazing things for you, the guy at the top. Go sell more so I can make more money. Like, dude, I'm not like that. My approach is, go find a good mutual partner benefit, a good mutual partner that we can benefit and they can benefit us, that's going to be here for the next 3 to 5 years. And I don't care if that takes 6 weeks or 6 months. Like, that's what we're on the search for, is to find the perfect partner. So when I'm not constantly badgering them in our team meetings and saying, hey, I need your sales activities higher, I need you to close more deals, I need you to set more appointments, when I'm focused on, go out there and find somebody's day that you can positively impact, it takes a totally different perspective, because now they're not doing activities because I'm forcing them to. They're doing the extra activity because they want to do it for me. You see what I mean?
Yeah. I think a lot of people listening, probably, we beat ourselves up a lot of, saying, oh man, I need to do better at this, need to do better at that. So if that's something that we want to work on, we want to work on our leadership skills. Maybe that's something we know we need to develop at.
Absolutely.
What are some of the things that we can do to continue to develop as leaders?
Yeah. I have a lot of sales books. I have a home office library. I have a library in my office as well. And as I started to read more and more sales books, and I started to read more and more leadership books, what I found is that it's 99% the same thing rewritten with a new published author, right? So what I really do is I go on the hunt to find what's the one nugget I could practically take away and implement. And I'm also not afraid to pivot, right? So I think a lot of people get hung up on, they build out a process or an SOP or whatever problem they're trying to solve for, they implement it, and they get so focused on this is how it's going to be, this is my only path to success. They're not really letting the data from that tell the story, and they're not willing to pivot. They're just, hey, if you can't get it, the next person up, right? I'm just going to keep firing and hiring until I get it, where we'll pivot. Look, I don't have an ego, and I don't want to be the next web.com multi-billion-dollar agency. We want to be a tight little agency that is a well-oiled machine, and if something's not working, let's get away from it. Like, the data tells the story, the feedback tells the story, and let's try something new, right? So dare to be different and also not afraid to pivot.
What do you want Bruce's legacy to be 100 years from now?
Great father that positively impacted a number of lives. So whatever that looks like, right? From a financial perspective, from a passing on wisdom perspective, from teaching my kids to just do the right thing above all else, right? We're a very competitive bunch in here, man. We play a lot of sports. We're sparring in karate tournaments. We want to win, but not at all cost, right? So winning is a result of doing the right thing. You don't manipulate doing the right thing to win. And so I think if you can really, there's this thing, there's this meme, and a lot of people use it in a lot of different ways, but I always love it when I see it. If you're a lion, you don't have to tell somebody you're a lion. They already know. So if you're out here grinding every day and you're having honest conversations with genuine people and you're talking about the true impacts you can make on their life and impact their families and the challenges they're having, and not about what's in it for my bankroll, if you can just be genuine and honest and sincere from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed every day, people catch on to that. And I always tell people, trust your BS meter. So if I can just continue to do what I'm doing and teach my team to do what we're doing and teach my family to do what we're doing, enough people will seek us out and find that we'll have an extended family. We'll have a culture of people around us that have our back at all times. So I think the legacy is, man, do the right thing at all costs, be honest and transparent, and it is what it is.
I like that. All right, well, as we get closer to the end of the show, what we do at every show is I've got a list of rapid-fire questions that I ask everyone. So I'm going to go through, and we're going to ask these. And here's the rules with this is you don't have like a specific, amount of time to answer them or anything like that, but I do want you to say the first thing that comes to your mind when I ask you these, all right?
Yeah, got it.
All right, cool. So the first one is, what are some of the obstacles that you had to rise above from to get to the point that you're at in your business?
Stepping into an already crowded space. So the roofing industry is a big industry, and to disrupt and make noise when there's already a lot of good agencies out there serving the roofing industry has been a big challenge, right? To be honest, brand recognition, size of company, marketing spend, we don't spend nearly as much on advertising as some of our competitors do, but we had to really insert ourselves into the party and get instant credibility, or else we would have been squashed the first 12 months in.
Second question is, what is the last book that you read?
Ooh, God, that's a good one. Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek.
I've got that one in my list. I haven't read it yet, but I've had that one on my list for a while. So
yeah, that's a good one.
What is the best book that you've read?
I've read so many, man. I don't know. I haven't read the Bible front to back like a lot of people, but I like some of the narrated stories in there and how they're kind of applicable to this day and age. But the best book I've read from a pure sales perspective, man, is a guy that's totally outside of the roofing industry. His name's Keenan, and he put together the Gap Selling program. So Gap Selling, for anybody out there that's a roofing company that's watching, or even non-related to roofing and you're in leadership, it's a really great book around finding the root cause of the problem and solving the problem, and you can't really make an executed sell properly if you don't have a problem to solve for.
Sweet. If you had a $1 billion exit with a B, what would you be doing the very next day?
Man, look, I look a lot older than I am. I'm only 41. So if I had a B the very next day, I would take one day to decompress, spend time with my family. Right now, I'm coaching baseball, man, and it is absolutely being on the field the time of my life. So I'd probably be on the ball field spending time with my family. And I would be plotting for my next move because I'm the kind of guy, man, that I'm going to work till I drop. I just absolutely love what you do. And when you love what you do, it's not really work. So I got to stay busy. I always joke with my wife that we're going to retire one day, but I'm not going to be a good retiree. Like, we're still going to have to find a way to make money, whether we need it or not. We're going to be on the grind doing something for sure.
Yeah, it's awesome. What's the best career advice that you've ever received?
Best career advice that I ever received. I would think it was kind of the story I shared earlier, really, is that your top sales guy, whether that's you or somebody else, is not immune to the culture. Culture comes first. So your top sales guy has to be treated equally because whether you think it or not, everybody else around you sees if you treat them differently. And then you have everybody else around you on your team resenting those exceptions. So sales guys, top or bottom, everybody's treated equally.
I like that. All right, before we get into, we got to chat about RoofCON. We always do.
Yeah, man.
So before we get into that, what questions do you have for me?
Man, listen, first of all, let me extend my appreciation. Thank you and to the entire RoofCON team. It's our second year going to be with you guys down in sunny Orlando. So super excited to partner up, have a good presence there. I'm going to have probably 10 on my team down there with me. So we're coming in strong this year, which is going to be really cool. Maybe you could just share with me a little bit about how RoofCON is going to look differently than last year. Like what are the major changes that myself as a vendor and the attendees can expect to see this year?
Sweet. So yeah, big changes coming this year. One of the big things that we do every year is we write down every single, we ask for feedback. We send emails out asking for feedback from vendors, attendees, everyone, and we write those things down. So I've actually got on my window, I've got about 25 to 30 different basically complaints from last year. And what I do is I look at it every single day, and that's how we target our planning for the next year is how do we fix the issues from last year. And so some of the big things that we're doing this year, we want to make it to where vendors have the best exposure to attendees. So we're putting in the breakout rooms inside of the expo hall. That's one of the big things. We've never done that in the past, but we saw it done at a different conference. We're like, that's a good idea. Let's try it out. We're doing 3 full show days instead of 2.5. We're going to going back to the Chapin Theater, which we used a couple years back. If anyone watching remembers that, we used it in 21. And ultimately, one of the big things with me coming back on board this year is that I just want to make sure that we give like a grade A experience to all of the attendees, all of the vendors, all of the speakers, that we just figure out every single way that we can just make it a world-class experience for you guys. And so there's a lot of stuff coming, a lot of stuff I can't talk about yet, and a lot of stuff that I just know like we're going to knock it out of the park this year. And I'm sure there's also going to be a lot of stuff, just like we do every year, where we figure out things that didn't work and we continue to improve. But I think the big thing is like, I think people see that we really are focused on how do we impact the industry and how do we leave a positive impact and build leaders in the industry. And the good thing is every single year we've grown year over year with attendees, and people are coming to the show and people love what we're doing. And, we fix things and the best thing that we can try to do is just make sure that people don't see some of the issues that we do. But we got a good team. Jenna is doing great with coordinating all the different efforts and all that stuff. And
2 years in a row, she's been amazing, man. She's really on the ball. She's very
crushing it.
So
awesome. Crushing it. And we got some good sales staff on board, and we've got just all around. I feel like we've got an A team here. So I just think all around it's going to be a good year for RoofCon.
Yeah, man, no, that's great. And, I don't know, we talked a little bit before if now's the appropriate time, but we did put something together for you guys too as one of the RoofCon ambassadors as well, kind of a little special. You talk about leadership a lot and it covers some of that. So if you want me to get into that.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, man. So I collaborated with Deshaun, and what we're going to do is we're actually, through our Best Hustler Academy, we're going to give a significant offering for RoofCon members. So we're actually giving a promo code. This course that we have is normally $1,500 a month. And it includes all of our courses, video, sales, leadership, everything online, live monthly calls with Deshaun and myself, and then Slack access to us. We're actually going to drop it down $1,000 off. So $500 a month with promo code BHA RoofCon 23. That's short for Best Hustler Academy. So BHA RoofCon 23. I'll get it to you after along with a link. But you guys have been such great partners, man. We wanted to make sure that we could bring something to you to offer exclusively to your RoofCon attendees, whether it be vendors or just people that are coming to the show.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
we
man.
appreciate that, man. I know any way that we can get back to the attendees, we want to give as much value as possible and team up with the right people, right? Team up with the people that are bought into our values and doing same thing that we're doing. Maybe we're bringing everyone together and we're doing the conference piece, but other people are going to do the marketing piece, and some people are doing the coaching and all this stuff. And ultimately, it's like, all right, we're teaming up together and we're all raising the industry up together. So we appreciate you, man. We appreciate you for that offer. We'll put it in the description too. So if anyone wants to go through and go through there. Yeah. So
cool.
Before we finish up, if someone wants to connect with you, where do they go?
Yeah, man. BestRooferMarketing.com. You can message us through there, or BestHustlerAcademy.com. We're on all the socials, Insta, TikTok, Facebook. We're out there everywhere. But I think the number one place, man, is if it could wait till November, come see us at our booth at RoofCon, man. We're going to be jamming out with you guys. It's going to be a lot of fun this year. We're mixing it up at the booth. Last year we did a lot of video work and micro content, so we're going to have some new offerings as well. And just look forward to connecting with you guys and continue to establish the relationship with the entire RoofCon team, Diego. Man, you guys have been really great partners in this. And, vendoring at these events, right, is kind of a cost of doing business, but it's expensive. And so we've wanted to be selective and really go after not being at each expo, but really going after the ones that were a true partnership. And you guys have held up to that, man. So kudos to you and Hunter and the team. And we just appreciate you guys so much. It's going to be a hell of a year for sure.
Well, we appreciate it. And to anyone that's tuned in and listened the whole time, we really appreciate you guys. And with that, we're going to sign off. But we'll catch you guys next time on the next episode of the Rise Above Show, presented by RoofCon. Peace.
Rise above.